becoming a doctor in Peradeniya University. In a few years' time, she will go through the whole medical education. All the doctors in this country, right to the time they become neurosurgeons, are paid by the state. All the people in this country, primary education is universal, right? Not many other countries have given. So we always tend to criticize, but you should look at your backyard and say that there are so many good things in this country. And the third part is community involvement has been the fiber of Sri Lankan moving this far. Now coming back to him over here, he has already outlined what he intends to do after the trust fund. Now what should be done is that a movement should start, and peer-to-peer movement among school children and schools should start. But Colombo just represents one part of it, because there are 5 million school students in the country, 5 million, and they are a captive audience, and much more needs to be done to take this message through the school medium. And I would encourage you, Birinder, that in your inter-school competitions and all, build bridges with the schools that are outside Colombo. And I would urge you to try and build that, because here you are talking amongst the converted, you see, because you have had so much of opportunity. You are all blessed that your parents are from good and affluent families. And I would like to again conclude, on Saturday I went to the United Nations Association function, again in Bishop's College, where his show is going to be there. Every year the UN Association in Sri Lanka, which was formulated in 1950 to celebrate the UN Day, which is on 24th in 2 days' time, always has a function furthering the ideals of the United Nations in Sri Lanka. One of the things that they had done was an inter-school debate competition in which 40 schools participated. There was one girl from a remote village in Bandaravilla who stood first in the inter-school competition, and she did the keynote speech over there on her topic of the world and water, you see. So I went up to her and I told her one day she will address the United Nations with the confidence that she talked, and that I'm sure would give her a big boost. So what I'm trying to say is that there is so much of talent within the country, and the equality in your country, social equality in your country, is a great strength, which can be used again to address this patriarchal society, the general things. It will take time. It's just there's no magic wand to it. Let us be very clear of this. This will take time, but I see a positive movement going towards forward.
I think I just wanted to add something to that. I think also children should grow up with a sense of social responsibility. I think with both parents working now, the children are not seeing that by example as much. And one of the things Birendra you can maybe bring forth to the education ministry is to, I've been talking about this, to get your school leaving certificate. Every child should participate in 22 hours of community service.
This is what they do in the US.
Yeah, which is what I was talking to you about. They do in the US. So that gives the youth of today the opportunity to participate in making this country grow. And also, the sense of boredom Dr. Mehta was talking about as part of his statistics, maybe that would slowly drift away, because if you teach children this sense of social responsibility and do it in such a way that to get their school leaving certificate, they have to do 22 hours of community service. Maybe we will teach them something besides the sense of entitlement and all the, in a sense, a negative aspects of what brings them to that boredom.
And Doctor, you had one more point that you wanted to speak to us about before we end our discussion today?
Yes, what I wanted to say, which is very, very relevant to youth and what Birinder is doing. Just 2 days ago, I was in the Ministry of Health where we were attending a meeting on non-communicable disease, and there was a representative from the Ministry of Sports. The lady informed the audience over there about the plans of the Ministry of Sports, where the Honorable Minister of Sports has embarked on a very ambitious 3-year plan. They have got support from the Treasury, from the President's office, of rolling out a sporting culture or a sport culture in the country, complemented by establishing infrastructure in the country, where each of the provinces will have a stadium and each of the districts will have a state-of-the-art gymnasium. Now this again will encourage the youth to participate much more in sport. This will direct their energies into more constructive means, and this is where people like Birinder, and he mentioned that sport will also be a medium through which he will be working. So again, I see a lot of optimism for this to take forward, and all these pieces of the puzzle come together ultimately to address this in a medium term and a long term basis.
All right. So I think that's a great way to end this particular segment, because we are ending it off on a positive note, and that's something that should be reiterated, I think, when it comes to this issue, that there is a positive side to it. There are so many people addressing it, such as Ms. Carol Toza as well as Dr. Mehta from the WHO. So thank you so much for being with us on the show again, and we're going to hold on to Birendra for just a bit longer and grill him about his cause. But thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Good morning, Sri Lanka. Welcome back to the show. Now, as promised, we have Birendra Sirivardhana, a 15-year-old young gent who is here on the show now. I've been introducing you as that all during this show, Birendra, but with me to help me talk to him, I have Wassam on the show. Say good morning.
Hi, I was actually watching the first few segments early this morning. I must say it was a very, very educational discussion, as well as extremely horrific. And of course they do say that an idle mind is a devil's workshop in terms of the statistics that Dr. Mehta said. A lot of these idle minds have been up to no good. But then talking about Birendra's idle mind, he seems to have put that in the correct path. So tell me, Birendra, you need to level with me, dude, alright? Okay. Now, somebody your age, okay, 15, right? Now, doctor also said that, you belong to the 15%. Who are more privileged right now in a developed society. Now, a person in your age would usually come back home from school, turn on the cable channel, I don't know, get some popcorn or some snacks, relax, put your feet up on the table, spend your day, party with your friends, pursue your leisure activities, whether it's sports or music or whatever it is that you like, but you decided to step out there and change the world. Now, I know you said that in the last few segments, I know you said that, okay, you've been getting a lot of inspiration from home, your parents, your sister, but there has to be something that triggered this. Something that, where you decided to, just suddenly get up and say, listen, my life is not complete. I need to start changing the world. What was that one thing that inspired you?
To be honest, Vasam, it wasn't one thing. It just seems like it was one thing because I pretty much fell into it. I didn't go in there knowing everything about it. I just landed in it and I was surrounded by everything in it. But as I said before, it was something that was spoken about at home, and this realization just hit me because my mom would tell me or tell us about stuff, watered down because my sister's 11. But I get the gist of the conversation, and I thought, being, as I said, I might be able to make a change, being in the rather unique position that I am.
So what you're saying is basically you came across a random conversation that happened at home, and this entire thing triggered you.
No, it's when you during 15 minutes I have to sit down and think I just think of random things, you know, daydream, and I thought, okay, fine.
This is what I was talking about, how my idle mind, and this is what Virendra comes up with, which is, I mean, really good compared to what
really
all of these idle minds have been up to.
And your sister plays a very big role in it as well, and I've heard that the anthem for the event that's going to happen on the 8th of November is called Here, and this is something that she came up with, is it?
Yeah, she did. And this may sound a bit biased, but she's really talented in music. She loves singing. So one day she just wrote this thing down and told my dad to listen to it. And she's a really exuberant, bright, bubbly kid. And she said, the first thing she said was, this is not about me. This is about one of my friends who's dealing with some problems. And the lyrics turned out to match exactly the cause of the initiative at the time, and we thought, you know, what better way to put it out there than with a song written by a then 10.5-year-old and sung by a 10.5-year-old for the youth to make a change in their thinking and the way they think throughout.
And your father's a musician as well, so I'm sure that your entire family is involved in it there. But let's talk about the concert. Now, let's get everyone excited about the concert,
definitely.
Because I'm sure all
I think we've been talking about a lot of very, very serious stuff during the last few segments.
So we know why it's important.
Yeah, because we need to get some people into it. In the end, I mean, your initiative is, your current initiative is raise funds enough to actually start this entire process. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So we need to get these guys into your concert somehow.
And I also heard that the artists are doing this for you pro bono. I mean, they're not charging a cent.